Good evening, everyone. It's 7:03, and I hereby call to order the Village of Tivoli Board of Trustees. In a few moments, we'll begin our January 2018 board meeting, but first we have a public hearing scheduled for 7 o'clock tonight. That's going to be on the Village of Tivoli Local Law C regarding solid waste. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our public hearing is open. We have a couple members of the public. We'll keep this open for a while. First of all, before I say anything, do you have any comments off the bat? Otherwise, I'll fill the space. This is something that has been an issue since I came on the Board of Trustees in 2011. Our solid waste code, which handles trash collection, recycling collection, when your garbage can and cannot be out on the curb or sidewalk, was very, very outdated. For those who've been around Tivoli long enough, you'll recall there was a time when you would come to the clerk's office and buy a large paper bag. That went on. That's still in the code that we hope to replace with this legislation. It said things like garbage day was Monday, which, as you know, it has been Tuesday for a long time. There was also a recycling on Thursday. We've been doing that on Tuesday as well. Talked about separating clear, green, brown glass. It was an ancient corner of the code. And one of the problems with that is it predated any private haulers being in the village, and also made it exceedingly difficult, if not impossible, to enforce garbage cans being left out. And that's the issue that I've heard about ever since I got active in village government. We've made huge efforts to enhance our walkability here in the village. We've managed to replace a lot of sidewalk in recent years. And when you look at that new sidewalk that we just put in with that community development block grant, and there are 16 55-gallon cans all the way down on the sidewalk, it kind of breaks your heart. So that's what one of the things that this local law will allow us to do. The draft has been on the village website, and we're in the public hearing, so I've been talking. Anyone else want to say anything?
No, it would be nice to be able to use the sidewalks unfettered.
I've certainly seen the stroller have to go out around the can into the road off the sidewalk, and that's really what this is about. And so just some of the details. If your cans are out at the wrong time, whether they're village collection or private hauler, you can get an appearance ticket. You can have to come into court, and you can get a $50 ticket. That's the basic.
It's behavior modification. It's really what's going on. The other thing is that the private haulers, we have multiple private haulers, and they all come on a different day. So we are going to have them register with the Village of Tivoli so that our code enforcement officer knows when that hauler's garbage cans are meant to be out, so that he can get a handle on whose is whose and when they're going to be there.
So it reiterates a lot of things that were in the old code, like you can't make your bags and cans too heavy for our DPW to pick them up. Of course, I mentioned the old paper bags. We've been on a tag system for a long time. So that's in here, buying your tags from the village clerk. And as far as the cans, you can't put anything out, let's see. It has to be out by 7:30 in the morning for village collection, on the day of collection. And you can't put it out there before 6 p.m. the night before. And then you have to pull it in by 10 p.m. on the day of collection. So you've got that window. Because we have village and private, our code enforcement officer is going to have to know which service is at that address. And you're making a face, let's have some public comment. You're in a public hearing.
It's going to be pretty tough for you to go around and enforce what time somebody puts a garbage can out or takes it in. I mean, people do forget sometimes, or are not around and stuff. I mean, we do it all the time. We bring each other's can in.
For example, if there's a can out any Saturday or Sunday, we know that's way outside of these permitted windows. So it will be challenging, I'm not gonna disagree with you there, but
Then again, it's challenging now when we don't have private haulers registered and there's some,
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
It's a pain in the neck, even when we back our fire truck in. Those things are in our way when we back the trucks in. And if I hit them with the truck, so be it, somebody's picking up garbage. I mean, it's just that they put them in the wrong spot. They should be on their property.
Yeah.
Those things have extension arms. They're able to pick those cans up.
And then along with this, I hope to vote on this later this evening. And once it goes to the state to be filed, it's not going to take effect for 30 days. So we, the village, are going to have 30 days to get these private haulers to register with us. And we're going to have 30 days to have an information campaign to all the residents who've been used to the status quo, getting used to, you got to bring your cans in and out. And there's also an addition that if you use village collection, you do have to use a can.
Because we do have raccoons and possums and dogs and wind and
Deer.
any number of opportunities to spew garbage all over the place.
Yeah, so there are, we're aware that there are going to be, this is going to take some adjustment on behalf of residents in this community, but it's all in the interest of, public safety, first of all, sidewalks and just aesthetics and the general pride in the village and not having garbage everywhere or cans everywhere. So, last call for any public comment, and so with that, is there a motion to close the public hearing on local law solid waste? So moved. There's a second?
Second.
Ms. Murphy, followed by Schneider. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and the public hearing is closed. Okay, moving into our regular January 2018 meeting of the Village of Tivoli Board of Trustees. I'd ask that everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I would like to acknowledge we have someone special in the audience tonight. That's our newly elected county legislator, Christopher Munn. Thanks for being here. It's great to have you here. You're always welcome.
Good to be here. I hope to be here at least once a month.
Great. Well, I and the board and our residents look forward to your tenure and working with you. So thank you for being here. It means a lot to us. Okay, we begin with a village clerk's report, please.
Yes, this past month, there were 274 trash tags that were sold. 2 payrolls were processed. The deputy clerk attended 1 zoning board of appeals meeting. And as luck would have it, there will be yet another holiday coming up. Monday, February 19th, the clerk's office will be closed in observance of President's Day.
Thank you, Clerk Bruno. So the 19th, that's another board meeting week, right? That's the same scenario we've had this week.
Yep.
It's a little tough with a Wednesday board meeting when you only have Tuesday, really, so we'll have to work the preceding Friday a little bit, but it's tight like this week, and I was just complaining about that tightness, and now it's gonna happen next month too, right? All right.
We'll be pros.
Yep, yep. Thank you, Clerk Bruno. Trustees, we have 2 sets of meeting minutes, the December regular board meeting and the January 10th workshop minutes. We've had a chance to review these. Is there a motion to approve both sets of minutes? Is there a second?
second?
That was Deputy Mayor Major, followed by Trustee Schneider. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Moving on to Treasurer's report. Thank Treasurer Day for her work. This month, out of the general fund, A fund, we spent $52,226.75. Out of the water fund, the F fund, $14,195.74. And out of the sewer fund, the G fund, $1,759.89 for a total of $68,182.38. Is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Ezrati, followed by Murphy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Treasurer's report is accepted. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Schneider followed by Major. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We can pay the bills. Moving on to zoning report, trustee Ezrati, please.
Yes. Our code enforcement officer, John Fenton, has issued no building permits this month and performed no building inspections, sounds like it's winter. Has received and investigated no complaints. Has issued 5 violations for failure to remove snow from sidewalks. This is usually an educational move with the first snowstorm. Has attended 1 court hearing, entered into 2 municipal searches, and scheduled no fire inspections.
Thank you, trustee Ezrati. And it's a good time to remind residents that you are responsible for clearing the sidewalk of snow within 24 hours after a snowfall, and we are enforcing that. So please do comply, it's for everyone's safety. And as we all know, we got some more today, so please get out there with your shovels and take care of it. Let's see. All right, so moving on to regular business. We have 5 items. Setting a public hearing on hens for next month. We have a resolution to support immediate state agency rulemaking for tanker avoidance zones. This is a resolution of support for the DEC to address that tanker issue and the anchorages that has been a hot topic in the valley. We have some budget modifications as we do every month, and given the public hearing that preceded this meeting, I think we're ready to adopt our solid waste law. And lastly, adding to this agenda, a resolution to approve a modification to professional services from Ty and Bond. Let's see. That's Ty and Bond was the engineering firm who did our water and wastewater systems evaluations. Tivoli got some tremendous news about a little over a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that we qualified for hardship in New York State and can access 0 interest loans from the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund up to $4.7 million. So this is huge news for a community facing the water infrastructure problems that we have been facing. So we qualified, and we have to go apply and lock in that money, and in order to do that, we need to have several components, but one of them in the application is an engineering report. We're able to use pretty much the report that Ty and Bond generated for us. It needs to have a few tweaks to fit the formatting required. So this modification is an amendment to the contract that we had with Ty and Bond to tweak it so we can use it for that next important step and go chase that money. So that was number 5. Is there any public comment on our 5 agenda items? So we will jump in there when we get back here. All right, number 1. Resolution establishing a date for a public hearing regarding the adoption of local law A proposed of 2017 as revised to permit the keeping of hens. Now this is 217 because we've been working on this legislation for quite a while. I think we had a very useful public hearing last time, useful to the village board, made us go back and rethink a number of things. So we've made some changes based on public comment and are now introducing a revised draft law. It's on the village website, and next public hearing on chickens, which are always popular here in Tivoli. We're proposing to set that for our next board meeting on February 21st at 7 p.m. So let's see. All right, so that would be, let me make sure we get the time in there.
So Chicken Palooza, 6 p.m.?
Oh, before the public hearing? Okay. Okay, so is there a motion to set this public hearing for 7 p.m. on February 21st?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Deputy Mayor Major.
Aye.
Trustee Israedi.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Trustee Schneider.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Come in and tell us about what you think of the tweaks to the hen law, to Gallus domesticus.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like
Yes.
to have you just reflect for the record that the resolution refers to the full environmental assessment form and coastal assessment form that you received from Michelle for review prior to the meeting, and that the board received that. And I just want to make sure you have a copy for your for the clerk's records that you
Thank
can
you.
sign and gift to her so that she has that on file. And again, that's a slightly modified to reflect the new version. You did have a previous version on file with the previous version of the law that you considered. So this is updated by Michelle, reflecting the new discussion.
Thank you,
Okay?
Council.
Yes.
Yes, the village clerk is further authorized and directed to refer the revised proposed local law together with a copy of the EAF and CAF materials to the planning board of the village of Tivoli for their comments and a recommendation on initial and substantive consistency of the revised proposed local law with the village's local waterfront revitalization program, for the record. All right, moving on, number 2. Resolution supporting immediate state agency rulemaking for tanker avoidance zones. So we've all heard a lot about the anchorages over the last year, and this resolution is really a resolution of support. The new law gives the Department of Environmental Conservation the ability to establish areas of the Hudson River where it shall be unlawful for petroleum-bearing vessels to enter, move, or anchor. Further, that the Board of Trustees in the Village of Tivoli requests that the DEC Commissioner immediately advances a rulemaking process to establish tanker avoidance zones for petroleum-bearing vessels, implementing the strongest possible regulations under the law. Okay, so is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
That was Trustee Schneider, followed by Trustee Murphy. Roll call vote, please. Is there any discussion?
We passed these before, they're very important to the sustaining of the character of the river.
Yes.
Right. Well, and I think too, just these two little sections here, the whereas the town of Redwood is home to the Hudson River National Historic Landmark District, Estates District, scenic area of statewide significance, and New York State's Mid-Hudson Historic Shoreline Scenic District, the integrity of which would be threatened by the establishment of new barge anchorage grounds, and whereas the Village of Tivoli has documented its concerns about the anchoring of petroleum-carrying tankers, including the disrupting the economic vitality of the waterfront, endangering drinking water supplies, damaging fish habitat, and detracting from scenic beauty and quality of life on the river. I just think the more we can repeat those phrases, the better.
And we've done so once again.
Once again.
Well done. Roll call vote, please. Deputy Mayor Major.
Aye.
Trustee Israedi.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Trustee Schneider.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Resolution is adopted. Number 3, budget modifications. Trustees, we went over this in the workshop. We try to do this every month throughout the year and keep our budget to really have a good idea of where the money is, which lines have been hit hard, which lines have not. And I can tell you, a line that has been hit particularly hard is F8340.4, which is transmission in the water fund. That is where we put costs associated with these many water main breaks we've been having. When these events happen in the middle of the night and people are out of water, we have to bring in help, bring in material. We got to dig that hole, fill it back up with something. We buy item 4, and we also had our saw go kaput, our big asphalt demo saw for cutting the road so we can dig. So we had to buy a new one of those. So that line this month has $8,000 to $8,200 against it, which is not typical. And that's what you're seeing there is the cost of these water main breaks. So we've done a modification. Fortunately, we had that money in the water contingency. So I'll just pick out that budget modification for residents so you can sort of understand how we're really being affected by this infrastructure. So
Does this cover, this is the last 3 breaks? This isn't the one that was the giant 3-day affair.
No, that
No.
was earlier, but I think that the most recent water main break, the last one on Thoreau, is not in this batch of invoices, correct?
No, it is because
It
he just faxed the
Okay.
invoice
He just made it.
yesterday morning.
Okay, so because we've had 3 in which we brought them in, yeah, so. Okay, is there a motion to adopt these budget modifications?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Ezrati, followed by Murphy. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have number 4, resolution adopting local law C proposed of 2017 as local law 1 of 2018. That's the solid waste, that's the garbage cans. I just want to say personally, I am so thrilled that we are here tonight because this is something that I have tried to work on for 7 years and we're here. So I'm eager to vote this into law and to inform residents and get to the enforcement. Is there a motion to authorize adoption of this local law?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was the deputy mayor, followed by trustee Schneider. Any further discussion? I just want to say I hope that residents will comply and get on board, and we're going to have a campaign letting people know it's coming, and let's take some pride and let's think about, you know, what these sidewalks need to be used for, and bring those cans in.
Think about the baby carriages.
Think about the baby carriages.
I think it's also great that we're updating these laws that we have and have had on for
Yeah.
decades.
So that we actually have laws we can enforce.
Yes.
Best kind of law is one that's actually relevant, right?
Yeah.
Okay, with that discussion, Deputy Mayor Major.
Aye.
Trustee Ezrati,
Aye.
Trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Trustee Schneider.
Aye.
I also vote aye. And the resolution of local law is adopted. Lastly, we have the resolution to approve modification to professional services agreement with Time Bond. Trustees, we spoke about this quite at length in the workshop, and I told the folks what this is for. And this is, where's that amount? Which says additional services will be provided, the lump sum of $2,800 based on approximately 16 hours of work, not to exceed the value. So this is, again, to tweak our giant fabulous report we already have so that we can go after that drinking water state revolving fund, EFC, low, 0 interest. Is there a motion to approve the modification to professional services?
So moved.
That was trustee Schneider, followed by trustee Murphy. Any further discussion? Deputy Mayor Major,
Aye.
trustee Ezrati,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
trustee Schneider.
Aye.
I also vote aye.
I can't tell you how excited I am about this, because it was that, first thing was that letter that told us we got 4.7 million, that all of the numbers that we've been talking about at public hearings, et cetera, presumed that we would get that, but it was obviously not a done deal until it was a done deal.
Right.
And it also opens the doors for application of grants. It's something that we as a village can begin even before the transfer is accomplished. So it really is exciting that we know what we need to do and we are moving with deliberate speed in that direction.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, the Board of Trustees did resolve in December our intent to transfer to the County Water and Wastewater Authority both systems, water and wastewater. One of the concerns that we had and many residents had has to do with how is it all going to get paid for. The good news with this EFC money is it's a 0 interest loan that we can go secure currently as the Village of Tivoli, and then when we get to transfer, it just transfers right over. So that means that a large part of the funding necessary for this infrastructure is going to be paid for with a 0 interest loan, even when they have it. And I know that that was a big concern for many residents. So I want to commend the board for chasing financing before we've even transferred. I think that's the responsible thing to do, and we've already identified some grants coming up next summer. Because either way, it's getting paid for by the users of the system, which is us. Whether the village owns the account or whether the authority owns the account, the payers into that account is this community. So zero interest is great, especially going up to that much. All right. The next board meeting will be held Wednesday, February 21st at 7 p.m., which again will be our HEN hearing. Preceded by a workshop at 6 p.m. here at the historic Watts-de-Peister Hall. And we have a regular workshop 1 week earlier on Valentine's Day, February 14th at 7 p.m. Moving on to trustee reports. Trustee Ezrati, please.
Okay, we've already talked a little bit about the water, and I just wanted to reiterate what the mayor said. We had 2 water main breaks in this period and 3 prior in the prior to the December, so we had 5 right in a row. The cost is about $1,500 per, because we do need to bring in a backhoe. This time we also had to buy the saw to go into the pavement because that one had no longer had useful life in it. So that is part of the cost that we hope to mitigate by improving the distribution system. The well pumping was, we had, the Ball Lot well was not used this month. The McKnight well was at its usual $9,000 to $10,000 gallons a day rate. The 2PW was used for the first 3 weeks of the month at about a 12,000 gallon rate. The 5PW was pretty much off except for 2 days during the month. The 4PE and 10PE wells were pumping at 17,000 to 18,000 gallons per day, and the Woodmark wells were pumping at 26 to 28,000 gallons a day. So that was where the majority of the water was coming from. The tower, despite the water main breaks, was staying at about 165 to 170 feet. That's, the fire department's always glad to hear that, because it means, yeah, not only do we have adequate pressure, but we have adequate water in the tower. This is the time of the year where we're now reporting snow as opposed to rain, so we don't have a good idea of how much water was received in the month of December. The water quality was fine, according to Jim's report, but 3 breaks. One at Furrow and Broadway, one at 5 Furrow, and one at Woods Road. And I guess the earlier breaks were up on 9G, if I'm correct. Okay.
Thank you, Trustee Ezrati.
The LoSAP program, we are expecting to hear from the fire department very soon about the points system, and we will determine how much that payment will be this year, and that's about all I have to report on.
Thank you, Trustee Ezrati. Trustee Schneider, please.
Okay, so the Tivoli Village Court charge volume summary report for the month of December. Total charges received were 20. Charges disposed totaled 33. And $1,990.50 was collected and remitted to the state comptroller.
Thank you, Trustee Schneider. And, you know, in our court report here, we do see a lot of no overnight parking, and that ticket is now $45. So I want to remind everyone that we are in the winter period between November and April, when you can't park between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. on the streets. If you need a permit to be able to use one of the municipal lots, you can come in and see the village clerk, and those permits are still $25, correct?
Yeah.
So it's cheaper than the $45 ticket, and it's good for the whole winter. So we encourage people to use those, and you we've actually been getting snow this year, and guys are out plowing, and when you leave your cars out, it makes it really difficult. So please get the cars off at night. And Trustee Murphy?
Yes. So to stay ahead of the curve with our summer recreation program, I'd like to reach out to residents. Please email me. I'd like to get together with a group of people by the end of February for recommendations and input on our summer recreation program this summer. As I said, staying ahead of it so that way we can increase enrollment and see if we want to increase the time of the program or the days of the program. So please reach out to me. My email address is on the village website. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Murphy, and our program was really great last summer, and we certainly want to bring it back and hopefully make it better. So take advantage of this. I'm glad we're starting this far out. It's great.
And we had a great group of people helping last year. Hope to increase that as well.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor Major.
Lots of things going on at the library, as always. The Page Turner's Book Club selection for February, they'll be meeting February 15th, is Madeline L'Engle's A Wrinkle in Time, a classic. Lots going on a daily basis. So Mondays in the afternoon, there's a homework club for kids, but it's with assistance from Bard Center for Civic Engagement. Tuesdays, preschool story hour with Miss Penny, 10:30 to 11:30. Wednesdays is the Lego Lounge. Thursdays, Hooks and Needles, Yarns and Thread from 10 to 2. And every other Thursday from 6 to 7 in the Eastern is the Tarot Club. And Fridays from 4 to 6:30, there's a Dungeons and Dragons gathering with Dungeon Master Patrick. This Friday coming up, the library is having an open house, and the theme is New Year, New Books. And there will be a story time at 11:30 where the mayor will be reading some selections appropriate for preschoolers and other small children. This
I hope some
Saturday,
people show up.
we'll all be there.
I hope it'll be better than the board meeting.
I think it'll be good.
Looking forward to it very much.
Saturday at 11:30, there's going to be popcorn and the Robin Williams classic Jumanji shown in the East Room. And then next Monday, there's a telephone scam workshop for seniors at 1 o'clock, and this is how to avoid them, not how to run them.
Appreciate that clarification.
I know the audience here.
There goes one of my questions for public.
Yeah. This is being put on with the Dutchess County Sheriff's Department, so I think it's a good event. Historic Resources, Historic Red Hook's annual soup night at the Elmendorf Inn will be Saturday the 27th from 6 to 8, and it will be delicious.
And the dualists,
Duality?
J-Trap and,
Duality.
yeah, duality will be playing. Sorry.
Montgomery Place is opened, the grounds are open from dawn to dusk. Just be careful on the trails because they're either icy or muddy depending on the day. Claremont is having a sledding party. February 10th is a Saturday beginning at noon. In terms of natural resources, it's a great time to be snowshoeing or cross-country skiing in the bays, and I would still plan on there being ticks.
Really?
They're resilient.
Come on.
They sure are.
And I have to say, last night I went to Magic the Gathering at the library, and it was a great turnout. Hopefully they do it again.
I didn't mention that because I don't know what it is, so maybe you could
It's a little
explain.
card game thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Cindy did a great job with it.
Cool.
And the other thing is that on Tuesday the 30th, at I believe 7 o'clock, there will be a information session at the town hall on Bard's new master plan.
Bard College Master Plan.
Bard College master plan. Yeah,
What time is that one?
I believe it's 7 o'clock. And yeah.
See, the plan is that they're going to expand physical buildings by 340,000 square feet,
I think about
something like that.
426.
426,000 square feet. So it's not an insignificant expansion.
And it's a proposal of the next 10 years, is that right?
Right.
So, to get all these kinds of questions answered, they're having an information session. And obviously, Village of Tivoli is a neighbor to the college and affected and impacted in various ways by what goes on over there. So I hope the residents will join us. I know we're going to go to find out what they're hoping to accomplish. You know, we want their continued success, and we want us all to get along as great neighbors, and so look forward to hearing what they're planning.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Before we get to public comment, I just want to thank the Department of Public Works and Superintendent Simmons. Once again, as we've been saying all night, we've had some really brutal water main breaks. I want to thank the Tivoli Fire Company for assisting us on that nighttime break up on 9G, helping us deal with traffic and keeping our personnel safe during that repair. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming out. And also, one of our DPW is out with a broken wrist for a number of weeks, and we have some temporary help. Josh Sella is back, and so if you see an unfamiliar face behind the plow truck, that's Josh. We're really glad to have him back. He did work for us a little bit over the summer. He's a great worker, and glad to have him in. So he got right to it, plowing right away as soon as he came on board. So, excuse me. With that, we'll turn the floor over for public comment on any topic.
Hi. So I'm Chris Munn, I'm the new county legislator for Red Hook and Tivoli. You know that, I've worked with most of you at one point or another. I hope to come to one of these meetings every month, report on what's going on at the county legislature that would have local impact, and bring back any concerns you have, and meet with any constituents who come to the meetings. I'm going to start announcing them online on Facebook as well, that I'll be here if they want to meet up before or after as well. So up to now, we just had our organizational meeting. Nothing's moved forward. We had a leadership meeting where the new water system was mentioned, that it'll be going through the process there, so I'll be sure to look into that as much as I can, keep an eye on it, for what good that'll do, and try to make sure if you have any problems or issues with anything that goes on down there, let me know. I'm down there quite often as well. Pop in and ask some pertinent questions if needed. But County Executive Molinaro brought it up at our leadership meeting, and I'm sure he'll also be attentive to it, I suspect.
Great.
So, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, legislator. I think residents of Tivoli sometimes forget, the county government, I like to say, is the least visible because it's the one to which you don't actually write a check every year, a tax check. Your taxes to the county are here and there, less easy to notice. But in Tivoli, we've got the county road coming through and the county bridge, and I think this year, more than others, residents of Tivoli were aware of their county government, their county representatives, and I got a lot of phone calls that now I will send to you. Exactly. So,
No problem.
thank you. Again, we look forward to your tenure and working with you, Chris.
Thank you.
Other comment? Yes, Mr. Chrissy.
Fire department related. Last year we applied for a grant, we got turned down. We're reapplying for that same grant again, so it'll be roughly between $45,000 and $50,000 for new sets of jaws of life for the fire truck. Seems this year they're gonna be big on rescue tools, so we'll see how this works out. We did apply for it twice before, so we'll see what happens. What the heck was the other thing I had? I gave you the list of the new officers for 2018. Next month you guys can swear them in. There's only been a couple of changes, not a lot. A couple of open positions. Some people are afraid to take positions that other people had. I don't know why, but whatever. So that'll be taken care of. I had one more, I just can't remember off the top of my head what it was. So, no big deal. I'm done.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
do that at the end.
The heat, when it was freezing cold out, we had the heat center open over at the firehouse.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
The
We
Warning
got,
Center, yeah.
we absolutely got no takers, but I enjoyed 6 hours on Sunday, staying in the firehouse, talking to myself, and looking for squirrels.
You gotta stay vigilant about the squirrels.
Oh,
You did.
just 2 of them now.
Well, I really appreciate the fire department helping us out with that. You know, we did offer a warming center, was that last weekend? 2 weekends ago. The weather's been like,
2 weeks.
yeah, it's hard to keep track. But anyway, you know, if it gets really cold, we'll keep that available. And the county sort of was leading that. And we would tell them what our plans were, and they were sending out a list of warming centers throughout the communities. So,
I think that's great. I mean, the other night we lost power for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It might have been 3 hours. Like by the end of those 2 hours, I was like, blankets on.
That was,
Okay.
a
Yeah.
couple days ago.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important too. We have, especially the condominiums over there, you know, a number of units there that are heated solely by electric.
Yeah.
So when the power goes out, that does have a really significant impact, so.
Other public comment? Comments from the board? So, before we adjourn, Tivoli lost one of its greats, December 27th, I believe it was. Margaret Lemon, whose many, many roles in this village, we'd be here another 2 hours if I started to list them. Election inspector, librarian,
St. Paul's.
many roles with the fire department.
Secretary,
I mean,
of course.
and you know, her really lovely service at St. Paul's. One of the things that was said that for many people in the room, there wasn't a time that they didn't know Margaret, and I am certainly one of those people who was lucky enough to grow up here in Tivoli, and I have many wonderful memories of being 5, 6, 7, 8 in this village, and she's in those memories. Going to reread the same Hardy Boy books at the library over and over again. I don't know if our holdings were as vast in that time. In the old American Legion, bobbing for apples, which we were doing in the late 70s that we don't do anymore. But just a tremendous loss, but also such an addition and a contribution to this community, which is here and will last and endure. And you know, I knew her as a resident growing up, but I'm really pleased that I got to know her as a village official, and she was certainly an inspiration. And I'm so pleased that we were able to honor her last April with Citizen of the Year. So that was wonderful. And then of course St. Paul's, as part of their 200th bicentennial, gave her a similar recognition. So it was she was able to get those things this year, which was very special to all of us who owe her so much. So our thoughts are with the family, and you know, we'll always keep Margaret in our hearts. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting in the fond memory of Margaret Lemon? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.
So, really up and see you.